He wasn't just a player on the field. He became a voice in the booth, a trusted presence on the airwaves, and a man whose actions off the gridiron revealed a depth of character few ever get to show. Bob Trumpy's journey is one of resilience, talent, and humanity. From the roar of packed stadiums to the quiet hum of late-night radio, his life was filled with moments that defined not just a career, but a legacy that continues to inspire. This is the story of Robert Theodore Bob Trumpy Jr., a man whose name might not be shouted from every highlight reel today, but whose impact on football and broadcasting still echoes through time. Born on March 6, 1945, in Springfield, Illinois, Bob Trumpy came from humble beginnings, grounded by the values of hard work and determination that marked his early life. Standing 6 feet 6 inches tall and weighing around 228 pounds, he was built for greatness long before anyone knew his name. After playing college football at the University of Illinois and later transferring to the University of Utah, Trumpy caught the attention of professional scouts. In 1968, he was drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals in the 12th round, a spot so late that most players never even make the roster. But Trumpy wasn't most players. What followed was a decade-long career that would change the role of the tight end forever. When the Bengals debuted as an expansion team, they needed leaders, and Bob Trumpy became one almost immediately. In the Bengals' first season, he caught the very first touchdown pass in franchise history, a 58-yard bomb from quarterback John Stofa. That single play symbolized the beginning of a new chapter, not only for the Bengals, but for the tight end position itself. Trumpy was different. He could block, run, and catch deep passes like a wide receiver. In 1969, he recorded a staggering 22.6 yards per catch, a record that still stands as one of the best by a tight end in NFL history. Over 10 seasons, Trumpy played 128 games, caught 298 passes, racked up 4,600 yards, and scored 35 touchdowns. His skill, speed, and toughness earned him 4 Pro Bowl selections, 2 of which came during the early AFL-NFL merger years, making him one of the few players to be honored in both leagues. But for Bob Trumpy, football was just one chapter. When he retired in 1977, he didn't step away from the spotlight. He simply changed his stage. Broadcasting was calling, and Trumpy's commanding voice, intelligence, and charisma made him a natural. He began hosting a sports talk show on Cincinnati's iconic radio station WLW in 1980, quickly becoming one of the city's most recognizable voices. Listeners trusted him. He wasn't just a former player giving opinions. He was a storyteller who connected with people. The show became one of the most popular programs in the Midwest, and Trumpy earned the nickname, the Godfather of Cincinnati sports talk radio. His success on the airwaves didn't stop there. Soon, NBC Sports took notice and brought him into their national broadcasting team. Trumpy transitioned seamlessly from local radio to national television, covering NFL games, multiple Super Bowls, and even the Olympics. His sharp analysis and smooth delivery made him a respected name in sports journalism. In 2014, his contribution to sports broadcasting was formally recognized when the Pro Football Hall of Fame awarded him the prestigious Pete Rozelle Radio Television Award, one of the highest honors for broadcasters. It was proof that Trumpy had managed to do something few athletes achieve: build 2 full-fledged careers at the top of their respective industries. Yet, despite all his success, one night in 1983 revealed more about Bob Trumpy's true character than any highlight reel ever could. It started like any other live radio show. The phone lines were open, the sports discussions were flowing, and listeners were calling in as usual. Then a woman's voice came through the line, quiet, trembling, and filled with despair. She told Trumpy she planned to end her life. The atmosphere in the studio changed instantly. What Trumpy did next wasn't scripted or rehearsed. It came purely from instinct and compassion. For over 2 hours, he stayed on the line with her, talking gently, trying to convince her to hold on while his team worked in the background to trace the call. Eventually, with the help of her son, police located her and managed to save her life. The incident shook Trumpy deeply. He later admitted he needed therapy to process it. But that night forever changed how people saw him, not just as a sports figure or broadcaster, but as a human being with empathy and courage under pressure. That moment captured the essence of Bob Trumpy: calm in crisis, genuine, and compassionate. While others might have panicked or cut to a commercial break, Trumpy did what few would have had the heart to do. He stayed. It was the kind of moment that defines a person's legacy far more than any championship ring ever could. Bob Trumpy passed away peacefully on November 2nd, 2025, at the age of 80. Surrounded by family at his home, he left behind not just memories, but a lasting example of integrity and humility. The Cincinnati Bengals and countless fans across the nation mourned his loss. The team released statements honoring him as both a franchise legend and a broadcaster who brought authenticity to every word he spoke. Mike Brown, the Bengals president, called him a pioneer who changed the way tight ends played the game, as fast as any wide receiver, a deep threat, and a true professional. His death marked the end of an era, but the impact of his career remains alive in the city he helped put on the football map. Off the field and away from the microphone, Trumpy was a devoted family man. He was married to his beloved wife, Pat, and together they raised two sons, Matthew and Jason. His family largely stayed out of the public eye, preferring privacy over fame. Friends described him as soft-spoken, kind, and deeply loyal, a man who carried his fame lightly. Reports estimate his net worth to be between $350,000 and $2 million, modest compared to today's sports media stars, but reflective of an era when passion, not money, drove a career in sports and broadcasting. He often credited his family for grounding him and keeping him focused through the ups and downs of public life. What makes Bob Trumpy's story so remarkable is not just his statistics or his professional achievements, but the evolution of the man himself. From an overlooked draft pick to a Pro Bowl athlete, from an ex-player to an award-winning broadcaster, and finally, from a sports personality to a symbol of human compassion, Trumpy embodied the best qualities of leadership and humility. He understood that influence wasn't about being the loudest voice. It was about being the most genuine one. Whether he was analyzing a play or saving a life, he did it with sincerity. His legacy also lives on in how he helped redefine two industries. In football, he was one of the first tight ends to truly stretch the field, paving the way for future legends like Kellen Winslow, Tony Gonzalez, and Rob Gronkowski. In broadcasting, he set a standard for professionalism, honesty, and emotional intelligence that continues to influence commentators today. Every time a former athlete transitions into media and does it with depth and respect, they follow in the footsteps of people like Bob Trumpy. Even now, decades later, fans still talk about the warmth in his voice, the intelligence in his analysis, and the kindness he showed to his listeners. The story of that 1983 radio call remains one of the most powerful examples of empathy ever captured live on air. It's a reminder that sometimes the most heroic acts happen far from the cameras and the crowds. Bob Trumpy's life may have ended, but his influence endures in the game he helped shape, in the broadcasts that carried his voice into countless homes, and in the quiet lesson he left behind. Success is temporary, but character lasts forever. Whether you remember him for that first Bengals touchdown, his decades of sports commentary, or the night he saved a stranger's life, one thing is certain: Bob Trumpy was more than just a player or a broadcaster. He was a man who lived with purpose, spoke with integrity, and proved that greatness isn't measured only by what you achieve, but by how you treat others along the way.